The Bucks are on a back-to-back playing the Spurs in San Antonio. I will say this. The Bucks may just be happy they don't have to play the Pacers anymore. That's 4 or 5 losses against the Pacers. If they have to play those guys in a playoff series, I'm telling you right now, it is going to be a very, very tough series. That's just a bad matchup for the Milwaukee Bucks, flat out. I think it's really interesting too. I was at the Knicks game as they took on the Bulls. I was talking to a couple folks, and the really interesting thing about the Bucks is that everyone's like, yeah, the pick and roll, no one's going to be able to stop it offensively, but more times than not, Giannis isn't too interested in setting screens. I don't want to set screens and play pick and roll. So it's a very interesting element that everyone's that's paying attention to the Bucks should keep an eye on. The pick and roll is unstoppable when they do run it on offense, but Giannis isn't interested in running the pick and roll as much as I thought coming in it would be. It should be common sense to just run the pick and roll all day, especially when it comes down to crunch time. But you bring Dame to run Dame time, but Giannis doesn't want to let him run game time because Giannis wants to be the man, and the man doesn't set screens coming down the stretch. So keep an eye on that in Milwaukee. But this is a really interesting matchup. The number has went down with the Bucks on a back-to-back. AC, talk to me about why you're on the San Antonio Spurs here in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about the Bucks. You mentioned some of the really good conversation points about, pick and roll, how to close games, things like that. I hate the old adage about, defense wins championships, but no defense definitely loses championships. So we can talk about, their pick and roll offense. We can talk about who's going to end games. Is it going to be Giannis in the ISO? Is it going to be Dame time? It doesn't matter if they can't play defense. And this team just doesn't play defense. So it kind of segues into this pick for me. I don't think they can. I was looking at their record. So they're 24-10, second in the East. They are one of the best teams in the NBA, like no doubt. When you have Giannis, when you have Lillard, you're going to be one of the best teams in the NBA. That's already bar none. But out of their 24 wins, less than 10 of them have been wins where they've won by double digits. So they don't really blow teams out. They may score 150 on you, but at the same time, they're going to give up 145. So that's why I don't like how big this number is. I know San Antonio is struggling. They're only 5-28, but Milwaukee is on a second night of a back-to-back where they have to travel from Indiana down south to San Antonio. So I think they're going to go off and get off to a sluggish start. So instead of going, the Spurs plus 10 or plus 9, plus 9.5, depending on what book you're looking at, I'm just going to focus on that first half because I think the Spurs' energy, their youth, the pace that they play with, I think they're going to be able to score a ton of points on Milwaukee, and I think they're going to keep within this number. So I like the Spurs first half.
Yeah, last 5 games for the Spurs, 2-3 against the spread, 2-3 to the over. So recently they have been keeping it tighter than a lot of the experts or the books may think. Yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks are just a really interesting spot overall. I'm interested to see how they respond after coming off of another loss against the Pacers, even though it's a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Especially from the eastern side of the board, they're just trying to keep pace with Boston. That's the measuring stick for those guys. They want to keep pace to try to potentially get that number 1 seed. I'm interested to see how they bounce back. The Adrian Griffin at the head coaching spot is going to be a question throughout. But you're right, AC. The floor is now offense in the NBA, but you still got to play some D. You can't just go out there and try to score 155 every night. And that's what it looks like they're trying to do a lot of the time. Let's see how this shakes out in San Antonio on a 9-point number. Let's see where that number actually moves because AC was locked in on the Hawks yesterday. The worst cover in the NBA is the Atlanta Hawks. AC sniped them against one of the best teams in the NBA last night. So let's see where the Spurs can show up here in a bounce back spot for the Milwaukee Bucks, who we're going to need a W, going to look to put up a big number, especially Giannis in this spot.